to Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations. In this particular video, we will be looking at new archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries of Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations, as they uncovered the architectural origin of the octagonal building structure in Jerusalem called the Dome of the Rock. As it turns out that we see images of this octagonal building structure that has a golden dome, outer wall, stone rectangular window frame area as stealth pyramid E images, in which actually confirms the stealth pyramid base in that surrounds a stone cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA. As we look at the GIZA SPHINX being denied in theological racism by the European Gentile nations that started the early United States government in black hats, coats, tights, and shoes. This would be the early 13 colonies that arrived in English trading ships to form the early 13 colonies of the infancy of the United States government. As the English pilgrims took over the United front in Giza and Gaza, we are looking at the English settlements, and these English settlements were nothing but English pilgrims as they established their 15th century and 16th century settlements around Judea and Jerusalem. It was not until the ending of the 16th century that the decision to place the African pyramids on the back of the dollar bill in America, but not the black man face upon the lion's body. This was tantamount to theological, governmental-based racism of the early United States. As the English pilgrims in black hats, coats, tights, and shoes, English settlements start to encroaching in the Middle East upon the biblical Holy Land areas of Judea and Jerusalem. So this will be found in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, book of EZRA, 1st chapter, 3rd verse, which states, "Let us go up to Jerusalem, which is located in the land of Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Jacob." So as the book of Joshua, 15th chapter, 20th through the 47th verse, states the land of Judah to be Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, Ascalon, Gath, Gaza, and the Jerusalem. Well, when we look at the globe Earth map, we must look at what the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure, outer wall, stone rectangular window frame, stealth pyramid E is telling us. For instance, the African continent appears in the lower section of the Dome of the Rock stealth pyramid E. Now this is where we make one of the greatest archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries of our time. As the ancient Babylonian stealth pyramid civilizations of Ham, in which pyramids we're now seeing in the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame as a stealth pyramid E. They measured huge square sections of the globe Earth or land surface. This is why we're looking at a stealth pyramid connected to the book of Psalms, 105th chapter, 23rd verse, original 12 African continent tribes. Now remember, the African SPHINX of Judea and Jerusalem, of Genesis 49 chapter 8 verse, the couching Ethiopian lion SPHINX of the tribe of Judah, he ruled from South Africa to north over the normal-headed African Adamic race that was created in Genesis 2:7. They actually populated Africa from south to north. But if we draw 12 horizontal white lines from south to north across the African continent and view them with satellite imagery, we will see nothing but African tribes living in each of the 12 geographic land surface lines. And which brings us back into the terminology in which I call the original 12 African continent tribes, in which the GIZA SPHINX line of ancient Judea and Jerusalem ruled over. Now this is of course before the 1611 King James of England appointed 400 years ago 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars to fly to the geographic 11 and 12 Northeast African continent land surface line to study the GIZA SPHINX line of Judea and Jerusalem Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls that was found in the QUMRAN cave. After the 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars illegally changed the 12 African continent tribes into the 12 sons of Jacob, as we read in the book of Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse, it totally disconnected the Afro-Americans reading the mistranslated 400-year-old King James Bible. It disconnected them from their African roots. And it denied the original GIZA SPHINX line, or the black man's face upon the lion's body, which we now see in front of the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramids. Now this is why when the same European Gentile nations that started the early United States government in black hats, coats, tights, and shoes, they made a racist or theologically racist-based decision to place the pyramids on the back of the dollar bill, but not the black man's face upon the lion's body. This is where we rediscover the English settlers casting tents around Judea and Jerusalem in the early 15th and 16th century, which led to the shipping away of the black-skinned Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls speaking Ethiopian descendants of the SPHINX. So we're talking about a 15th and 16th century now migration of the early United States 13 colonies started by the English Pilgrims. So it was the English Pilgrims in black hats, coats, tights, and shoes that established early settlements, okay, around Judea and Jerusalem. And this is why today, if you go to the Western Wall, you will see European-faced Israelites illegally occupying the book of Ezra, 1st chapter and 3rd verse, Jerusalem and Judea, land surface area of the black African couching Ethiopian line SPHINX of ancient Judaism. So having said all that, we would return back to the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure, and it sits within a rectangular enclosure area. So this is where we make another archaeological and theological based discovery, as we soon discover that the Ethiopian stone cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA is actually representing the Step Pyramid E around its base area. So when we compare the Dome of the Rock stone rectangular window frame or outer wall, the octagonal building structure has stone rectangular window frame that we refer to as the Dome of the Rock. Now in each stone rectangular window frame, there's 3 levels. We have the first level of rectangular window frames where we see stone X's. Okay. Now there's 3 levels. The 3rd level is surrounding the foundation that supports the golden dome atop the octagonal building structure roof. That's where the Step Pyramid E windows are, okay, which resembles the step pyramid that surrounds the base of the stone cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA in Ethiopia. But as we look at this first window, stone rectangular window frame, upon the octagonal building structure called the Dome of the Rock, we will see that there's 4 entrances, right, to each of the to the octagonal building structure, outer wall, surface area. So we will look at the first entrance into the octagonal building structure called the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. Now this entrance has a stone rectangular window frame next to it. And guess what? We will see, like if you take a blank sheet of paper and draw one white X, then draw another white X underneath that. That's the stone image that appears in the window, the stone rectangular window frame, that's adjacent to the entrance in the to the Dome of the Rock. You say, well, why is these dual X's in stone a part of the entrance window features? Well, you see, once you take these two X's, now you can do this with a pen or a pencil, but you draw it on a blank sheet of paper, one X above another X. Now, the way we will discover that these X's are pointing to the GIZA Sphinx lion of ancient Judaism, stone cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA. That's what these dual stone X's are representing. So as Afro-Americans make a tour trip to Jerusalem, they will begin to notice these dual stone X's within a stone rectangular window frame, adjacent to the entrance. So finally you have something to tell your Sunday school churchgoers that the Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, or the Nibiru Temple aliens has decoded the dual stone X's to the Dome of the Rock entrance. Within the stone rectangular window frame adjacent to the Dome of the Rock entrance. You say, okay, so how do we go about decoding it on a blank sheet of paper? Two stone X's, one above the other. Well, the first thing you do is you draw a line from the corners of each X down to the corner of the adjacent X's. Okay, then you will notice you have just generated a stone Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure. This is where we make one of the greatest archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries of our time. Now, as we discover, this is a black man's building structure in which the European Gentile nations, if we go back 400 years ago, we see the 1611 King James of England appointing 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars to fly to Judea and Jerusalem. That's the GIZA Sphinx, the black man's face upon the lion's body, in which was enacted theological racism within the mistranslated King James Bible. So this GIZA Sphinx spoke to Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls, along with the Ethiopians in Judea and Jerusalem. They was in black. They had white robes and white turbans. Just like if you go to Ethiopia today, you'll see the black women in long kuta kente robes, and they head wrapped around with kuta kente cloth. Now all you need to do is to snap your fingers like a magician and turn the kuta kente robe white and turn the kuta kente head cloth white. Then you will see the original black Arabians of Ethiopia, GIZA Sphinx, lion of ancient Judaism. So this is why when we go back to the Lamentation 5th chapter 10 verse and Jeremiah 14:2, it speaks of black-skinned people in Jerusalem and Judea, or the women being raped by the Greeks and Romans, okay, and the Philistines. This is, our skin was black like an oven. That's the scriptural statement in the book of Lamentation, 5th chapter 10 verse. And they raped the women of Zion in the midst of the city of Judah. So this explains why we have Palestinians today. Because if you cross from Giza, the black man face upon a lion's body, in northeast Africa, right? You cross the desert from Giza. Now, if you want to go to Jerusalem, you got to cross the Gaza Strip. So you cross it from GIZA, Giza, the lion sphinx of ancient Judaism area, and that's the 11th line and the east and west geographic northeast African continent 11th line of Judea.